All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we've got some really good news, and that is that Bob Arum of Top Rank has confirmed, according to Boxing News 24, that Shakur Stevenson will be fighting for the WBC title at lightweight in November, and that person that he will be fighting is most likely Errol Spence Jr.'s protege, Frank the Ghost Martin. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division, where we're starting to see some movement take place in the division, and it is related to the WBC title, which is currently vacant in that division. Once Devin Haney had vacated that title and became champion in recess, it looks as if there will be a fight taking place soon with Shakur Stevenson in November, and most likely that will be against Frank Martin of the PBC of Man Down Promotions. But before and just so you know, I'm also going to talk about the fact how this is really good news, and we need to keep it pushing and have Devin Haney drop the rest of those belts, because more than likely he's not going to come back down there to fight the 135. So we can start getting it cooking, just like we can start getting it cooking in the 147-pound division if Terrence Crawford is not going to defend his titles that he has in those divisions. But before I get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean a very, very big deal to the channel. So thank you guys very, very much. Do want to say thank you specifically to Kamal Oz, one of the best not commentators. He always comes by the live stream, gives a lot of really good insight in boxing. Hope you're doing well, sir. Haven't heard from you the last couple days, so if you see this video is dedicated to you. But let's get into this because I like this fight. First of all, it's not all the way done, but it is confirmed that Shakur Stevenson will be fighting for the WBC belt in November. Now, for them to say who it's going to be in November, a couple things has to be true. Well, first of all, let me tell you who said it. Bob Arum said it. So since Bob Arum said it, Bob Arum usually when he says something is about to happen with his promotional company, it usually turns around and takes place. So when he says that the fight is going to that Shakur Stevenson is going to fight for the WBC title in November, that to me makes it sound like, yeah, that's probably going to pop off. Now, who would he be fighting? Very obvious who the #1 available guy is for him to fight, and that's going to be Frank Martin, Errol Spence Jr.'s fighter from Man Down Promotions. He's actually out of the state of Indiana, out of Indianapolis, Indiana, but relocated down to Texas, I do believe, and is also trained by Derek James. So this will be another championship fight for Derek James and the stable of fighters that Derek James trains down there in Dallas, up there in Dallas. I'm actually south of there, where you had Errol Spence Jr. who just fought Frank Martin. Errol Spence Jr. just fought Anthony Joshua, that has a championship. He does not have a championship fight. Let me clear that up. You had Errol Spence Jr. who lost fighting for the undisputed champion. You have Jermell Charlo who's fighting for the undisputed championship at 168, and you have he just has Anthony Joshua who's positioned to get a fight against. I think he may very well be fighting Tyson Fury beginning in the next year. And the reason that is because Tyson Fury has been making a little bit of habit lately of stealing fights that Deontay Wilder's been trying to make. And that's a subject matter for a entirely different video, but you get my point. And he also has Ryan Garcia, who very well could be getting a championship shot against Rolly Romero. And now you got Frank Martin, who could be getting a championship shot against Shakur Stevenson. Now, as far as the fight itself between Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin, look, man, I think it'd be a very, very good fight. It's very hard for me to pick anybody to beat Shakur Stevenson other than maybe, not even maybe, I'm going to say other than Gervonta Davis, who I think has a very good chance to beat Shakur Stevenson, because Gervonta is most definitely somebody that can put you to sleep with one punch and is also a very, very solid boxer himself. But Shakur Stevenson just honestly is just, man, he's just such a technically very, very, very nice fighter, man. He seems as if he's really hitting his stride too. Now that he's in his third weight class, he looks like his body's filling out. Look like a very, very strong fighter. It'd be very hard for me to pick Frank Martin to beat him. However, I will say that just like, man, there is in all kind of dudes in boxing, this is a fight that's not a foregone conclusion for Shakur Stevenson. Frank Martin is most definitely a live underdog. He is a southpaw in a southpaw matchup. Frank Martin is a very, very skilled fighter, excellent defense, excellent offense. He can walk you down. He can do all kind of different things. And he has one of those things that not a lot of people have at 135 pounds, which is the ability to stop you with a shot, which is what I've seen him do on multiple occasions, even in the last fight that he had against the Olympic bronze medalist from, I believe he's an Armenian from Russia. I can't recall his name. However, very tall, long, very good boxer, technically skilled boxer that Frank Martin wound up beating, but was having some difficulties with in the beginning, but ultimately just started walking him down and dropped him, won the last several rounds to get the fight. So I would not count him out at all with Shakur Stevenson. But most importantly, man, it's just another really, really good fight. And if it takes place in November, it's another opportunity to see another very good boxing match. Now, as far as where the fight would take place, if they're negotiating it now, and this is where I'm kind of filling in the blanks and making some assumptions here. If Bob Arum is saying that the fight is going to take place in November, then they're already negotiating with somebody. And I wouldn't doubt that they're also negotiating with the WBC. But if you look at it clearly, the number one guy in that is Lomachenko, and Lomachenko is not fighting Shakur Stevenson in November. Then the number two guy, I do believe that is, I believe that is that Frank Martin maybe Isaac Cruz may be the number two guy. But then the other guy, then there's Frank Martin. I mean, I probably need to go back to look at the rankings again. Right. Made sure I wouldn't look back there because I got confused for a second. Yeah, actually, Vasily Lomachenko is number one. Shakur is number two. Then it's Isaac Cruz. Then it's Frank Martin. So Vasily Lomachenko is not fighting Shakur Stevenson, and Isaac Cruz more than likely is not going to fight Frank Martin either. I mean, is not going to fight Shakur Stevenson either. Isaac Cruz, my understanding is, and a lot of people's assumption is trying to get the Gervonta Davis fight. So that leaves you with Frank Martin. The other only option really could be William Zepeda or Edwin De Los Santos to fight for that belt. And the only thing I would think would be holding up to Frank Martin is whether they think that they'd rather have Frank Martin, fight in the IBF in order to get that, bigger money fight against Gervonta Davis. But whatever the case is, man, I'm happy to hear that they're going to be moving on in that division and getting somebody to fight for that WBC belt. Now, I hope the next thing takes place is whoever wins that fight. If Devin Haney needs to make his mind up about whether he's coming back to 135 relatively soon. So if he makes his decision that he's going to come back, then fine. Whoever wins can fight Shakur Stevenson. Can fight whoever wins the fight between Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin more than likely can go ahead and fight Devin Haney, and I think that would be a great fight to take place. Other than that, Gervonta Davis is going to be the WBA champion. They're not going to put a WBA super on top of him if Devin Haney drops that belt. And then from there, you got the IBF and the WBO, and the WBO more than likely vacant belt would be fought for by George Kambosos and Vasily Lomachenko. Even though Bob Arum said that fight is not done, is not taking place because of what he said about has said about Vasily Lomachenko and him taking some time off because of what's going on in his country. And then, of course, you've got again the same situation in the WBO, but in the WBO, who knows? But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know who you think, what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.